Do you know Arizona has one of the highest minimum wages in the country? We actually pay twice as much as some states with higher cost of living cities than Phoenix, like New Hampshire, Utah, and surprisingly, Idaho. And it's going to keep going up every year, because since 2017, our wages have been tied to inflation. Or at least that's the plan. But the thing about our minimum wage law is that it wasn't passed by the Republican-controlled Arizona legislature. It was a citizens' initiative put on the ballot by progressive groups and approved by voters, the majority of which also voted for Donald Trump that same year. All that to say, raising the minimum wage is a populist policy. It goes beyond party politics. But that hasn't stopped Republican legislators from trying to undo that law every year since voters passed it. They've continuously tried chipping away at our minimum wage laws in obscure and downright deceptive ways. But before we dive into these tactics they've been using, it's important to understand why people against raising wages keep trying to make these small, seemingly insignificant changes. Erosion. Popular laws like this can't be blown up outright. There'd be an uproar. And since it's voter approved, illegal. So instead, they're trying to chip away at it piece by piece until all the benefits are eroded from the original law. Basically, if one exception makes it through, it makes it easier to pass the next one, and the next one, until we're back to making $7.25 an hour with a $2,000 a month rent due. One of these erosive attempts was through minor league baseball. Long story short, the MLB contracts for minor league players are as low as $20,000 a season. When you break that down to hourly, that's less than Arizona and Florida's minimum wages, two states that host spring training. The MLB lobbied Republicans in both states, who are eager to chip away at their state's voter-approved wage laws. Florida Republicans passed the MLB's wage exemption. Arizona Republicans failed. Twice. Undeterred, they tried next to chip away at our tipped minimum wage. Republicans sent a ballot measure to voters last year that would allow employers to pay tipped workers less and less every year. They dressed it up as a pay raise and spent a bunch of money to plaster the state with annoyingly cheery political signs all about it. But voters did the math and saw the proposition for what it was. It was the second most unpopular item on the ballot last year. And that's because the myth behind raising wages has been busted. It doesn't lead to higher unemployment, it doesn't lead to higher costs, and as something that comes as no surprise to anyone that's lived paycheck to paycheck, even the smallest bump in that paycheck can make a world of difference. Attempts like these aren't expected to stop anytime soon, so make sure to follow our page as we report on anti-worker legislation that's being introduced in 2025.